So today I will speak about NFTs and how to make them trustworthy. I mean, we already heard from Florian about how to tax them. So now look into the point to make them really trustworthy, because I mean they have some value, but you have to create them in the right way. So to start, so what are, say, non-fungible assets? So first start with fungible assets, because it's really the opposite, and we know that. So fungible assets are interchangeable with each other. So when you have like a 10 euro bill, you can exchange with another 10 euro bill, so it's fungible, so everyone will know that. Then we also have something like semi-fungible assets. It's something like stamps, so you can, say, exchange them for the same kind. And then we finally have this non-fungible assets. So this is something really unique. And this is also something we have to transport into the virtual world. And this is a little bit more complicated because you can easily copy things. I come later to that. And in the crypto space, we have, as we already heard, these non-fungible tokens.
Marcus, I'm so sorry to interrupt. We get a question. If you can stay either a little bit closer to the microphone or take it in your hand if you want to be a bit more flexible,
yes,
just so that everyone also at home can hear you.
I hope that's now better.
This is great.
Yeah, thanks for that. So, so we have these non-fungible tokens which represent ownership over a kind of unique item or some piece of content. This is kind of unique using blockchain technologies, and they cannot be divided into fractions. So it's a really kind of simple, say, definition for the token. We use the blockchain to record ownership and the transaction history for each NFT. So that's why we can ensure transparency and immutability. So you can always look how the ownership history changed over time. And if you look into the markets, we see that it's still really a small market. I mean, at the moment, say in mid of October, we had a market cap of 2.2 billion. So it's really small, I would say. But it's still worth considering. So when you have NFTs, they are somehow linked, as I mentioned, to some kind of unique item. So it can be some kind of digital art. So you have an example, it's a picture called Andy in Space. So it's kind of unique. You can have like digital collectibles. So remember back in the 2017, we had these crypto kitties. You can also have like in-game items. So I mean, it exists before, but it's something really interesting because it's a virtual asset you can own, and you can just, say, transport it from one game to another game, or you can use in a game. You can maybe sell it on the secondary market. So there's some kind of like big game studios working on these kind of things. And you can also have, like, say, event tickets, or you can have certain rights to attend some event. But you can also connect it to, say, physical goods like wine. So here I think I have an example of the Yao Ming winery, which actually brought us an NFT. And so what these things they have in common is like you have this unique item, but they have different lifespans. So for instance, like digital art have a really, like, I would say, like a kind of infinite lifespan. Also maybe like these kind of digital collectibles. In-game items, maybe they're linked to some games. They have a lot of shorter time span. And you have event tickets, which maybe, say, lose their value after the event, because, I mean, this is their lifespan. So, but it, say, confronts you with a lot of kind of problems if you want to really realize an NFT linked to, say, some digital items. So I will focus only on the digital items first, because physical objects, it's much, much more complicated. And as we know, NFTs, they have some value. So, and where's the value coming from? So here, for instance, like this picture, it's from provenance. So you have some kind of, say, proof of authenticity. So it's not only the token for authenticity, I will come later to that. So you have to add a little bit more to this kind of authenticity than just saying, okay, there's a token and there's a picture and that's it. Because we say, when you see a Mona Lisa, we say, okay, hey, that's Mona Lisa, and we know who drew that, you know? So we don't say it's just the Mona Lisa. So we have to, know actually the artist behind. That's something really important, because there's some kind of backgrounds, there's some kind of, say, compelling narrative, and say maybe even the art community is, say, having a certain kind of opinion. So there's a lot of things coming together. So it's important who actually is the creator. So it's not really enough to just say the token just tells you just by, say, the address and the token ID in the picture. And then sometimes you also have like utility. So what I mentioned, like with, say, with an event ticket, you have a certain right You can just like say attend some event. So in say in the art space, say your art is displayed in some gallery, or you have some kind of say different virtual representation. Say on your smartwatch, you can see your NFT or the picture. Also, you can have a kind of physical representation. So you have this kind of additional utility you have to take care of. So let's dive first into the thing that I have a connection to some digital items. Just imagine like the image I have shown you before. So sometimes there's this kind of misconception that the image is just, say, stored on a blockchain. This is not the case. So the situation is like, blockchain space is really expensive, so you really wouldn't do that. What you normally do is just you put the picture in some kind of storage solution, put the link to the NFT, and maybe the hash. You should actually put the hash there. But things getting now complicated, because I mean, you're leaving the space of a blockchain and having some storage solution is that the link can be, say, prone to disruption. The service comes unavailable, or say the storage provider you have selected just dies. So just imagine you have purchased an NFT for 69 million, you have a nice picture behind, and so the storage provider is not accessible anymore. And there's also the questions like, who's actually responsible for keeping, say, the digital item in the storage or keeping it accessible? So it's really an open question, because, like, I mean, you can put a link there and maybe pay for the storage space, but at some point somebody should be, say, responsible for it, and you need maybe some service. Could be a wallet service, could be custodian. So we're coming up with the question that, okay, how can I connect a digital item to the NFT which lives on a token, and say the item itself lives in some kind of storage solution? And you also have, like, you know, considering this lifespan, think about the Mona Lisa. It's a really kind of old picture. You know, how to keep the link, or how to keep the item alive somehow. So it's not solved by the token. So you have to look into other technologies. So the solution is you're seeing in the market is you're going to IPFS. IPFS is a really nice abbreviation for interplanetary file system. So it's a kind of decentralized storage place you can use, but it doesn't solve you all the problems. And one of the things is like the digital items, or say pictures within IPFS, they can just be deleted. You know, if they're not used or nobody's accessing them, they will be deleted at some point as a kind of garbage collector. So you have to also solve what I mentioned with the problem with responsibility, and maybe a custodian, maybe a wallet software can do that by just really pinning these digital items or these files in IPFS. So there's certain services for that. So let's start like first with IPFS. Really, really simple. Here you see the picture from Andy in space. And as I mentioned before, we should have this kind of uniqueness. So uniqueness in a digital space is easy. Just compute the hash. So hash is just a fingerprint. You know, you can use any kind of item, can be like gigabytes of size. Just compute the hash. And if I change something, if I change just like, see here on the, I don't know, it's a site where I write not original artwork. It looks really similar, but I just changed the pixel. A single pixel, and this pixel just generates a complete different fingerprint. So it's not the same, it's not the original work. So it's something I can really use. If I look, say, into Web 2 technology, you know, I can have a link, just write ending space point PNG, and I'm fine. It looks the same, but it can be a completely different picture. It can happen that somebody is just by accident deleting the picture on the server whatsoever. It's not really nice. So IPF comes to the rescue here, but doesn't solve all the problems. So, I mean, you have now the hash, and the hash is really telling you in a kind of technical sense it's unique. So if the item is changed, it's a different item, it's a completely different hash. And this is what you can embed in your token. So the next thing is, okay, now I have made this kind of digital item unique. I have to keep it alive. So just imagine I have a picture which have to, I don't know, live for a really long time. You have to do something, and think about like maybe a crypto custodian. Maybe think about like some wallet software which offering some way of self custody. It's not enough just to keep, say, the private key for the NFT secure. Sure, it's really important, but it's not the whole game. It's the same thing if you have a bank deposit box and you have a really, say, high valuable collectible, and you put it into the bank deposit box. I mean, you have the key to open it, you can touch it, and you can see it. So in the last part, I mean, the key you can store really well, but you have to have it available somehow. You open it and you want to see it. And the same is with a token. It's the same game again. So what you can do is you have to extend your wallet service, or you have to extend your custodian by something called a pinning service. A pinning service is nothing else that the custodian, or say the wallet software provider, is also part of the IPFS network, running a node or having another service which takes care that the digital item or the picture here is really there. Yeah, just keep it in the storage and pay for that, and then you have to charge a customer, and you also have, maybe what makes sense, also have like a backup of that. So this is something where, say, a custodian who wants to offer, say, storage of NFTs have to think about it. So really, the key is not enough here, because I mean you also have to, say, take care about the underlying item at the end of the day. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense. Because I mean, if it costs 96 million, you lose the picture, and you have still the token. It doesn't help you much, personally. So this is one thing. And the other thing is why I saw a lot of misconceptions is about authenticity. Because people say, okay, hey, the token's enough, and it's authentic because I know, say, the address, and I know the token ID, and I maybe know the hash. So that's it. But it's also not the case. So the thing is, if you have an NFT and even you have this nice picture I showed you behind, everything is somehow publicly available. Nice. What does it mean? And there's no way to prove, I mean, say no standardized way to prove authenticity. So when I read how to prove authenticity, say of an NFT, like look into some like platforms like OpenSea, I had the same kind of impression I had this morning when I looked up how to prove authenticity of a Louis Vuitton bag. My wife likes this stuff, but I just checked how to do that and was like, whoa, I can't do that. Because you have to be really experienced with a lot of stuff, and you have to almost like a kind of like an investigator, I have to know leather stuff and all these things, and I think it's way too much. So the thing is, it's hard to copy a Louis Vuitton bag, I admit, but it's easy to copy an NFT. I mean, everything's available, just copy-paste. Maybe you can even fake the transaction history and nobody cares about the addresses. So it's easy actually to make a counterfeit NFT. And just think about it, costs when an NFT costs 69 million, okay, nice. And additionally, there's no kind of, say, easy way to check authenticity. And so the question is how to do that. And I mean, one way going in this direction is like a proof of authenticity. So you're doing something more digital, what is already there, and use cryptography for that. So I think maybe it's that simple, but it has to maybe also extend it somehow. But here you can see it. You have, say, a kind of additional information where you have, say the creator's information. It can be also like the company who is creating the NFT, or say the artist or so ever. And you actually link the unique item. So here in this case is the fingerprint, the hash, with the token. The token has uniqueness because the token is I mean, once you have issued it and once you have minted the token within the contract, which is on, say for here in this case on the Ethereum blockchain, it's kind of globally unique. There can't be any other. So you have uniqueness in this way. You have uniqueness on the side of the item itself because you have the hash, and then you just cryptographically link both things with, say, a signature of the company issuing. It can be say Porsche, for instance, with the NFT, or it can be like the artist here in this kind of case. But the artists, they have to really take care about, say, their private key or their private key, and they have to publish their certificate. I mean, this is something you have to discuss. But I think it's the only way to have authenticity in a really simple way. Otherwise, you have to, depend on what other people say, or what is the transaction history, and Or, I mean, there's other kind of solutions I've seen in a space is like, okay, you can prove that you own the contract address, but I just checked it, or say on Etherscan how it works, but it's easy. I mean, like you can easily fake it, because I mean, there's no real way that it's proven. It's just like I can claim that it's mine, and then I can add tags and information to that, but I don't think it's enough. Here's a cryptographic way, which I think it's proven, it's easy. It can be extended, because you also have to think about where to put this proof of authenticity somewhere. You know, you have maybe also put it in IPFS. But this is a way you can go in this direction. So to summarize, I mean, there's definitely more points, and even if you go into physical space, it's getting more complicated, but it's just this is just the virtual space. So the first thing is like what you just answered is how to prove that an NFT is authentic. And as I mentioned, it's not just the token and so on. It's just like you have to add something. You have to add something about, say, the creator, some kind of proof. Yeah, this is just a small add-on, but it helps a lot. And I think it's also really important. If there's any value behind, it will at least will just like keep the value if there's any. And the other thing is like, I mean, how you can verify that the item which is linked to the NFT is really the item which is really the item. So this is just like using IPFS, just using like called like content-based addressing, using hashes. And the last question was like, okay, how to keep the whole, say, digital item I have linked my NFT to alive. And this is just like pinning the NFT data on a service. Maybe you're using more than one service, just like to be sure. And it's maybe a way for a crypto custodian, also maybe for, say, wallet services to do this way. There is already one service I saw recently in the summer. It was a Brave browser, so they're a kind of plugin where they're trying to offer these kind of services. So that's it. Thank you.